In our last demo, we made a little program that took in input from the user, converted it to a number so that we could check if it's bigger or smaller than 100, and then we printed that out. So what we're going to do this time is just make sure that we understand how we can put that number. Say we wanted to say, instead of that's a big number, let's say I want to say, maybe they typed in 150. I want that to say 150 is a big number. So to do that, what we need to do is just put in the variable. So the thing we took in from the user is called the number. So in here, I need to say the number, and then I use the addition sign, and then put in the string a big number. And I should probably say there is a big number. And then I'll do the same thing here. And I'm going to say the number plus, and then is pretty small. Okay? Now, we're pretty close. Now I suppose I can get rid of this print statement. That doesn't need to be there anymore. So this will almost work. We're going to get an error as well. So let's say I put in 35. I'm going to get an error that says type error, unsupported operand types for, and then it tells us the symbol is addition, and it says float and string is what that str stands for. So what that's telling us is that the number here is a float, which makes sense because we converted it into a float right there so that we could compare it to the number 100. And now it's saying, I don't know how to use the addition sign between some number, which is a float, and this string over here. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I convert this back into something that it's able to handle. So if I wanted it to be able to add one string to another, well, that would make sense. All it's going to do is join these together, and the fancy word for that is concatenation. So what we're doing here is we're concatenating the string version of the number, which is essentially just throwing quotes around whatever you just typed in, and then this string here. And I need to do the same thing here. So I put str, and what that is doing again is just turning the number into a string for the purposes of this output statement. And if I give this a run, we can make sure it works. So I'll put in 42. I get 42.0 is pretty small. Again, the reason for the 0.0 is that I turned it into a float here, so that added the decimal. And then if I put in 150, I get 150 is a big number. So that's how you can concatenate something that used to be a number, and now you've turned it into a string. So that's version 1. There's another way you can do it, and some of you have experimented with this already in class, but let's go ahead and show you. So the other option is that I can also, instead of using the concatenation symbol, which is that plus sign, if I get rid of my ability to turn them into a string, so if I take out the typecast into a string, I can now change this plus sign into a comma, and if I run that, it's going to just about work as well. If I put in 34, I get 34 is pretty small. Notice that there's 2 spaces there right now. And the reason is that this comma, when I use it, what I'm really doing is I'm passing multiple arguments to the print function. Now I'm passing it both the number as well as this string. And by default, what Python's going to do is it's going to separate all of those different arguments with a space. So that just means that here I don't need to put a space in. So I can run it like that, put in 150, and I get 150 is a big number with just one space. Now, if you want a little more control, I believe you can also just say sep equals, and then tell it you don't need anything to separate each of the arguments, in which case now if I put in 150, you'd note that there is no space there, which also can be a useful thing. So, in any case, those are the 2 ways you can do it. Either concatenate by using the plus sign and making sure that everything has been typecast into a string, or you can combine different data types using the comma, which sends multiple arguments to the print function.